All right, and moving on, will the United States return to war with Iran? The question is now gaining global attention after US President Donald Trump's return from China. With US forces on standby, Israel stating it's ready for renewed fighting and negotiations stuck over Iran's enriched uranium stockpile, concerns are growing that the fragile ceasefire could fall apart. Speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One shortly after leaving Beijing, President Trump dismissed Iran's latest peace offer as unacceptable and reiterated that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. Listen to this.
Mr. President, just to be clear, what's next? Is the threat of the bombing starting again? How realistic is that?
I don't want to say that. I'd like to tell you. I'd like to say on a certain hour, a certain day, the bombing is going to start. I don't want to say that. I can only say that Iran, I can say this with very, very strong conviction, Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. Not going to happen. No chance.
Have you rejected the latest proposal from Iran, or where does that stand?
I've looked at it, and if I don't like the first sentence, I just throw it away.
Now, Trump said that he would accept a 20-year suspension of Iran's nuclear program if Tehran provides strong and credible guarantees, stressing that any agreement must be real and comprehensive. According to Trump, Tehran initially agreed to the proposal before backing away, but he insisted that Iran would eventually accept the terms.
Years is not enough for you. It's got to be a perfect. No, 20 years is enough, but the level of guarantee from them is not enough. In other words, it's got to be a real 20 years, not a big one. You've got to get all the fuel out and no more production. We have to get everything, but we're not even talking about, I call it the nuclear dust. Came up with a term which seems to have caught on.
But I'm talking about because they would not remove the...
they said that they can't remove it because they don't have the technology to remove it. Well, they don't have the type of tractors. They say the only one, they told me directly, they said the only one that can remove it is China or the U.S. We're the only ones with the equipment. They said you were right. It is a complete obliteration. With that being said, I want to get it. And they agreed to it, but then they took it back. But they'll agree to it eventually.
Meanwhile, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said that for the moment, the issue of enriched uranium stockpiles is not under negotiation and discussions on the matter, they have been postponed. Speaking on the Strait of Hormuz, Iranian Foreign Minister, he said that the waterway remains open to international shipping despite rising tensions. He noted that all vessels are free to pass, except those from nations which are at war with Iran or engaged in military action.
We are concerned the Strait of Hormuz is open and all vessels can pass except the vessels belonged to those countries who are in war with us, who are fighting with us. The situation in the Strait of Hormuz is very complicated right now, and we are trying to help ships to pass safely. Everything would go back to normal once the act of aggression is totally and completely ended.
He also welcomed any diplomacy by China in ending tensions in West Asia.
China has been helpful in the past in the resumption of relations between Iran and Saudi Arabia. We have very good relations with China. We are strategic partners to each other, and we know that Chinese have a good intention. So anything that can be done by them to help diplomacy would be welcomed by the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Now, as Trump weighs his decision whether to resume the war in Iran, the Pentagon is preparing for the possible return of military operations against Iran. And this after last month's ceasefire paused Operation Epic Fury. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said that more than 50,000 U.S. troops have been assigned to West Asia. According to reports, if combat resumes, the U.S. military plans to rename Operation Fury to Operation Sledgehammer. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared that Israel is ready if hostilities resume. At the same time, U.S. officials signaled that diplomacy remains on the table, with Washington discussing a second round of talks with Tehran in Pakistan. A Pakistani delegation arrived in Iran on Wednesday to explore a follow-up to the recent meeting in Islamabad, raising hopes that negotiations may continue despite the looming threat of renewed conflict.